Now, here's the hosts of Top Story, Kelly Klass and Jill Steen.
And good morning and welcome to Top Story. 7360300 is the number to call. And good morning, Jill.
Good morning, Kelly.
Here we are back for another week.
How was your weekend?
It was short.
It was short.
It was short and fast and ugly.
I was at the farmer's market. It was lovely.
Ah, yes.
And so I saw some listeners.
Very
Joe, Dorothy, Sarah, you know who you are. Bob. Anyway, they came by. And actually, I passed out 8 quarts of my mock chicken noodle soup, which people loved. And I was just sorry I didn't make another big batch. I was out early.
Yeah. And that was on how long of a period that you gave 8 quarts?
9 to 1 was the farmer's market, but I was out at probably like 11:30.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
People love it, though.
You ought to start selling that stuff, Jill,
I
instead of
should
giving it
sell
away.
it.
Come
I
on
should
here.
Sell it. Well, you want them, it's marketing. You want to feature a recipe from your cookbook, and actually, after people taste the soup, they bought the cookbook.
Well, that's good, too.
So it's good marketing.
But maybe you could sell them the soup and sell them a cookbook, too, you know?
Yeah, here's your quart of soup, and here it comes with a free cookbook. I don't know if I would make money that way. Anyway,
Yes, indeed.
It was a nice weekend, though.
We have Perry Gardner coming up from CSI. We got, Constitution Day coming up at CSI?
I think so.
She'll tell us all about that. Sounds interesting. We have Randy Staples with the Idaho Political Update at 8:40. At 9 o'clock, we have State Treasurer candidate Deb Silver joining us. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be a busy morning. We're hitting the ground running here on this Monday morning.
We have a busy week, actually, this week. We got a lot going on.
Yes, we do, yeah.
It is packed.
And it was a beautiful weekend, actually. Weather-wise, I don't think you could have asked for any more perfecter of weather.
No, we played golf on Sunday morning. It was beautiful. It was just really nice. Perfect weather.
Even yesterday morning, it was calm and nice.
Yeah, it was really nice.
So
we got out there about 8:30.
I really like our weather this time of year. It's probably the most settled weather we have all year.
Yeah.
Right.
The wind is not here.
Yeah.
Can't wait for spring.
We have a little wind, but not bad.
No, not like the spring.
It stays under 45 miles an hour, so that's not too bad.
I know. Since I moved here, like I said, my hair hasn't looked good in 10 years.
We do have a little bit of news to report this morning. First of all, you will remember a couple of weeks ago we talked to Sierra Sanderson, Miss Idaho.
She was adorable.
And she did not make it as Miss America, but she was the America's Choice.
I know.
They gave Americans a chance to vote for a semifinalist. And
yeah,
out
she
of
got
all
to
of
the
them,
top 15 then.
Yeah, yes, and they chose her, which I think would be a great honor.
Oh my gosh!
I know winning Miss America is a great honor, but being chosen by America,
Did you watch it?
I just watched a little bit of it, and then
I taped it.
I had to do
because we were watching.
My wife watched
a game.
it, and she kept texting me as to the updates.
Did she see Sierra on there and stuff? Oh,
yeah,
good.
She did. So.
But it was Miss New York, I guess.
Yeah, Miss New York, Miss Kira Katsants. Yeah.
Katsantsev?
I don't know. That
this
must
is
be
the
a
third
Russian name or something.
That they're from
well,
New York.
Well, there for a
as
while
well.
it was Texas winning them all the time. Texas. And now it's New York.
I know.
So what's it going to be next? Miss Idaho? I don't think Miss Idaho has ever had. I don't think Idaho has ever had a Miss America, have they?
Well, no, I don't think so. But I think this was the first time anyone was even as far as they were, right? I think this was the first time. Oh, she's the second.
We've always had a contestant.
The second Miss Idaho to make it to the top 15. I mean, that's amazing. We haven't done, and that was 1971.
Yeah, so we're doing better.
Yeah, we're moving up.
But
moving on up.
And we have on one of our KLIXcasts, you can go to our KLIXcast site, newsradio1310.com, and see our interview that we had with Sierra Sanderson. Really a delightful young lady.
Adorable. Did we ever post that picture with us? We'll post that too. Okay.
We posted that.
She is so tall. She's like a small drink of water. She is so tiny.
Yeah,
and tall.
It was very cool just to see her, and
very down to earth.
She did well. I mean, she did well.
Good for her.
Very down to earth young lady. So
yeah,
can't say enough good about her.
No, she was adorable.
So I guess Kelly's is closing.
Yeah. after 26 years.
Wow.
I guess
I
Saturday was the last
I never think
day.
of them to eat. I think I've only eaten there once or twice, maybe 3 times in the last 25 years.
So you're the reason.
I'm
No.
the reason. Yeah, you can blame me.
No, actually, someone else is taking it over. I think he used to work there for a little bit, and so he's going to change it up a little bit.
Oh, okay. So it's not closing; it's just changing.
Well, she's handing the keys to someone else. She's done it 26 years, and we would go in there quite a bit. It was lovely. It was all homemade, and you could get nice vegetables and things like that. And it was like one of those places you go that's so awesome. When my relatives came in from Sumter, they couldn't believe we took them there for lunch. It was just like, hometown, nice little diner, sort of like a diner.
America's best kept secret, huh?
But they're going to keep the breakfast menu, add some more burgers, add some more salads, and he's going to change it up to what did he say he was going to call it? No, I don't have it in front of me.
So how did they get the name Kelly's? I'm just curious.
Well, her name was Kelly, so I don't know.
Oh,
it was in her
go.
family,
That's
right?
right. It was Kelly Howa, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
So, what did they...
I guess that would explain it.
It was going to be a 1950s rockabilly-style cafe, complete with old road signs, a jukebox, and paying homage to Howa at a Kelly's Corner. So there's a lot of history there. And anyway...
Yeehaw.
There's a big following. I mean, lunch, a lot of people would go there.
Well, it's in
downtown
Twin Falls.
Yeah, it's great. So anyway, I'm glad it's not going away, that it'll still be there.
Yeah,
sort of.
Absolutely. It's always bad to see a little mom and pop operation close up,
I know.
because they're actually the backbone of America, and it's
I
just
know.
bad when they close up. So.
I know. I think so too. I like those little unique places
Sure.
as opposed to everything being a franchise.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, what makes
Yes.
you unique? You're like everyone else. And honestly, I'm just going to go on a rant. Eagle Road looks just like any place in Texas. I mean, the same mile with the same stores. It's annoying. Why not, have some uniqueness to your town? It really is. It's I'm glad they're going to keep this anyway. It's a rant because you just see the same stuff all the time. You're like, we aren't unique. We're just becoming one homogenous. So you don't even know where you are. You're in Texas. Oh, you're on Eagle Road. You're on. Well, where are we? It doesn't matter. It looks the same. It's hideous.
Well, and it's the same as long as you're
It's
ranting.
hideous.
And I've ranted about this before,
ranting.
too. It's the same with the subdivisions. I mean, they use the same plans for every other house. And you see them from the air, and it just looks like some little commune or something with everybody living in the same type of house.
And who picked out the same color palette? None. It's tan, muted tan.
Right.
Same dark brick or rock. It's like they all look the same. It's
again,
hideous.
God forbid you should paint your house some color that's not okayed by the homeowners association.
It's like they picked
out
the same
flag or something.
The same color palette. It's just so boring and awful. And where's the uniqueness in the world?
I've had a real problem with homeowners associations for a long time.
Yeah.
But
I don't know if it's the homeowners or it's the developers. You have the palette and they build it and go, this is it.
Well,
these are our colors.
That's what it is.
And then your
turns
house
into a homeowners association, and they make sure that everybody follows the rules that were
on outside
set up by the developers.
But you build your house, and these are your choices of your granite and your choices of all the houses look the same. They're all muted inside colors, and you're like, where's color?
I'm not particularly blaming the developers either. I wonder where these restrictions came from.
I don't know where their color palettes come from.
We had to have them.
I don't know.
So. I mean,
Can't we have some uniqueness?
Yeah, I agree with you there, Jill. I really do.
Finally. I like the old homes, I love the presidential, like the old unique homes.
Right. Every other house
is
different.
That makes it different and unique and special as opposed to just, you could be anywhere. It doesn't matter if you're in Idaho or in Texas.
I agree, Jill.
Finally.
We agree on something here.
Ta-da! September 15th.
7360300, top story. Oh, we're going to hang around again. Okay.
All right, fine.
Anyway, moving right along, we do have some good news for Idaho's most endangered fish and all the people who are working to bring them back from extinction. The 1,408 sockeye count tops the 1,355 that returned to Idaho in 2010. And actually, the count is not done yet. But in 2011 was also at that time the second largest, which makes the 3 of the last 4 years record or near record returns dating back to 1975, when the final Snake River Dam was completed and fish counting began. The run's not over. Through Thursday, 2,765 sockeye had crossed the lower Granite Dam on the Snake River, but not all of those fish typically survive the trip to the headwaters of the Salmon River and the lakes where the fish spawn, including Redfish Lake. So only 17 fish crossed the dam in September so far, and the largest single day this month was 6 on September 4th, so the run is winding down. But the runs are getting bigger and better, so maybe we're making headway.
Well, that's a good thing, and that's why you do you take precautions so you don't get rid of everything that you have.
David Cameron has vowed to bring the killers of aid worker David Haynes to justice as their second British hostage was revealed as 47-year-old Alan Henning. The British Islamic State militant nicknamed Jihadi John warned the taxi driver from Greater Manchester would be the next person to die after father of two, Mr. Haynes, was beheaded in a disturbing video. Mr. Henning, nicknamed Gadget by colleagues who praised his sense of humor, was also an aid worker and is believed to have been working for a Muslim charity in a refugee camp. So another beheading.
Well, we were talking about this before the show, and I said, all of a sudden, since they've done these beheadings, now we're all aghast, of what's happened. But, thousands of people have died over there. Thousands have been poisoned by Assad. But the actual seeing the beheadings now, it's like, oh, now they're really brutal. It's, what I'm saying? It's like, because visually it's horrific what they're doing. But it's like, okay, people have been dying for years here, too. And it hasn't risen to the level of
the beheadings. Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like now that they're beheading, now we're all in shock. Well, where have you been?
It makes you wonder if all of the killings had been uploaded to YouTube, would we have a different view of those? But since they're kind of out of sight, out of mind.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but now they're showing the video, and now
Right.
they behead. And you're like, okay, and people have died innocently for years, thousands of them.
Which brings to question a lot of, well, not a lot, but there have been some Americans join ISIS to join in this fighting against America.
Yeah.
And I know it makes you wonder. The administration over the weekend announced this new program that they're going to try to seek these people out before they get to that point. And I can kind of understand what they're doing, but I don't know how in the world they're going to do it. But my question is, and I know we had a few years ago, the same guy who was instrumental in the bombing of the USS Cole was a U.S. citizen. He was acting on the part of Al-Qaeda, and we killed him. And there was this big outrage that he was a U.S. citizen, and we killed him without his due rights. But it kind of makes you wonder, if these people are joining ISIS and they're going over and they're fighting against us and everything that we believe in, is it still right? Do they give up their U.S. citizenship rights, or should we capture them and give them a trial and due process and all this kind of stuff?
What do you think?
I mean, I'm kind of thinking that the way things are going here, if we catch you fighting against us, you just gave up your U.S. citizenship rights. What do you think? 7360300 is the number to call. 7360300 is the number to call. What do you think? Should Americans caught fighting with ISIS be stripped of their American citizenship on the spot? Meanwhile,
before or after they're killed?
Right.
Because the big uproar was the guy in Yemen who was American citizen, killed by a drone.
Meanwhile, though, the folks at Clearwater Power Equipment want you to know they now have a store in Twin Falls. After being in the Wood River Valley for many, many years, they have expanded to the Twin Falls area. They carry the Husqvarna full line of outdoor power products, sales and service and storage. As a matter of fact, they also carry Echo, which has the best warranty in the industry, a 5-year residential and 2-year commercial warranty. Echo has been a leading innovator and manufacturer of outdoor power equipment for over 40 years. They have all the Echo handheld power equipment, easy starting, long-lasting, and user-friendly. Not only that, they have factory-trained technicians. So I'm telling you, folks, why go to a big box store where they sell everything under the sun and everybody knows a little bit about some things, but you go to Clearwater Power Equipment and they know their product. And ask them about their storage plan also. They can store your mower for the winter. Ask them about that. They're at 252 Washington Street, also at 734-7767. And our number is 7360300. We got a caller waiting. Top story. You are on the air. Good morning.
Good morning, Kelly and Jill.
Hello.
Good morning.
I just wanted to call and thank you for the tickets to the comedy show.
Did you have fun?
I took my wife and we had dinner before we went.
Nice.
right there at Canyon Crest, and the ribeye was excellent.
Very good.
and and the show was good.
Was he funny?
The opening show was kind of amateurish. He didn't do that great, but the guy you had on, he knew how to work it. He started throwing out jokes until he got people laughing, and once he figured out what the crowd liked, boy, he just hammered down until we were just coughing up spit. You know, it was good and funny. So.
Well, good.
Thank you a lot.
Glad to hear that.
I'm glad for the endorsement on Canyon Crest and the comedian. But what do you think about Americans who fight with ISIS?
Oh, well, Americans that fight with ISIS. If you go over there and you want to fight against a country you grew up in, got service from, got help from, got educated from, I'll shoot you myself.
So should they lose their citizenship?
I think they're done. They don't have no due rights. They're over with. I mean, once they're fighting against a country that they're doing it with, they're done. I mean, if they want to go fight with them, then they're going to be treated just like them.
You know, who was that? Who was it? Was that Al-Waki? Is that who the guy was who was an American citizen? Yeah. And he was instrumental in the bombing of the USS Cole, and he was fighting against Americans.
He was in
part
Yemen
of Al-Qaeda.
at the time.
He was in Yemen, and the military went in there and with a drone or something.
They killed him with a drone.
They killed him deader than heck. And
but
there was an uprising.
Uproar.
I know.
Yeah.
An uproar from Americans. Hey, you killed a U.S. citizen. I don't know if that was more
should have due
because it was
process.
the Obama administration that
I'm
killed
sure.
him, thinking that now what are you going to do? Start
sure.
killing all Americans? Or I mean, because it was a military operation that killed him. I know they had to have the okay from the administration and such, but still, I'm wondering if.
It's hard to think.
As far as I'm concerned, they're going to go over there and they're going to take those steps against America. As far as I'm concerned, they're done as an American.
Well, if they're shooting against you and attacking you, that's war. And do you then say, oh, no, we won't kill him, but we'll kill him? He's a citizen, but is he if he is anyway, is he still?
Yeah, and then there comes down to the legal part. I don't know if we can even legally do that. Maybe if you're an American citizen, you're an American citizen no matter what. So that would be another aspect of this. 7360300, top story, you're on the air.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey there.
I think that if you're engaged in combat, then definitely there shouldn't be no due process. You should be able to be engaged. America should be able to engage you in combat right then and there. But if you're not immediately engaged in combat, you should be given due process, just so that not that America does this to prevent from anybody doing this, so that America doesn't target U.S. citizens and then say, oh, they were engaged in ISIS or they were engaged with Al-Qaeda.
Yeah. So you think they were justified in the part of Al-Waki or whatever his name was?
Yeah.
Killing him.
I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
All right. Thanks for the call. Appreciate that. Because this is, again, the Obama administration is planning to step up its fight against, this is from Politico.com, against recruiting of Americans by groups like the Islamic State in the Iraq and the Levant. And Attorney General Eric Holder announced that just today, as a matter of fact. So they're going after the Americans, or at least they're trying to find out who these Americans are that are being sought after by, or actually I guess it's the other way around. The Americans are actually probably seeking out ISIS, saying, hey, I want to be a member so I can fight against this dastardly country of mine. Mm-hmm. And man, I'll tell you what, if that's the case, then I don't know how they're gonna find them. I don't know what you can do.
What? You're crazy. The NSA, we're complaining about how they're listening to everything and this and that, but we did change the point about the data mining. Remember, everyone was so worried about that. It's like, that actually shows who's calling what. But no, we were so offended by that. I'm telling you.
What tangled webs we weave.
Exactly.
We're going to find out about Constitution Day coming up next at CSI right here on Top Story with Perry Gardner. 7360300 is always the number to call here on Top Story on this Monday. It's 55 right now. Beautiful day in store for us today.
Oh, good.
And we have Perry Gardner with us from CSI. Good morning, Perry. Nice to see you.
Good morning, Perry.
Guys. Thanks for having me.
Now, I was kind of surprised to find out that Wednesday is a required national holiday. Is that right?
We should give tickets away for anyone who knows what it is. We
Yeah.
have nothing to give away. What is it, Perry?
Well, it is a Constitution and Citizenship Day, which public colleges are kind of incentivized to put on a celebration or a recognition of that, which is really cool.
Now, by incentivized, you mean if they don't do it, they can
It's
lose
tied
their
to like
federal
financial
funding.
aid and stuff, yeah.
Okay, so
Which is a good kind of, when
Sure.
we talk about governments incentivizing, their interests, their agendas. It's a great example.
Yeah.
So what are you guys going to do? Because you also have to do a little celebration in conjunction with this, right?
Yeah, I'm really excited. We have a couple different fun things going on. First of all, there's pocket constitutions across campus. They're in our library. They're at our coffee shop. I'll be handing them out at an event that evening, giving them to all my students. So we've got that going on. And then the actual night of the event, Wednesday, September 17th at 6 o'clock in CSI's Fine Arts, the smaller 119, we have Dr. David Adler, who's the director of the Andrus Center for Public Policy at Boise State, coming to give a talk entitled Supreme Court as Guardian of American Freedom.
Wow. That should be interesting.
It'll be
Is
fun.
this a debate or no? Yes or no?
I
How
think
do you
he'll
feel
take
about
a little
the topic?
Q&A. There'll be a little Q&A at the end. If you've ever seen him talk, and I've had a few, poli-sci majors in my classes that go, Dr. Adler's coming. He's great. He just finished his Women's Leadership Conference, the second annual
good.
one up at Boise State, where Sandra Day O'Connor was the keynote.
Oh, nice.
So he'll be coming off the high of getting to interview her, and she's amazing. I saw her
Yeah,
last
she
year.
is amazing. So what do you think? Do a lot of students know what this day is about?
No, I don't think so. I think it kind of comes and goes. Mine all do now because we've been talking about the Constitution for like a solid week and a half. But
Well, I'm glad somebody talks about the Constitution.
we need to, right? So we'll be doing that, and then actually the next night in the same venue, I'll be showing 2 PBS documentaries where Peter Sagal from Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me, radio, is the host, and they're hilarious. He's riding a red, white, and blue Harley around America trying to discover what the Constitution means, and it's called one's called Built to Last, and the other one's called A More Perfect Union. It's about federalism. It's good.
Is it good? And what time did you say that was?
That'll be 7 o'clock on Thursday night.
So it also talks about Citizenship Day as well.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you guys do for that? Is this when people actually become citizens on the 17th?
I think it's just kind of a tied together idea with the holiday. It's Constitution and Citizenship Day. Obviously, good citizens, great citizens understand the founding documents and have read them. And as you might expect, not as many people have actually read them or understand what they say.
But it does recognize people that have become citizens, naturalized as citizens.
And what it means to be a good citizen.
And we have a lot of refugees here. So
absolutely.
So I don't know how many are in the process of becoming a U.S. citizen.
Well, the thing about people who go through the citizenship process, or new Americans, for example, is that they often know these kind of founding documents and kind of these key pieces of American history better.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
They do.
Because they had to take a test.
They studied it.
Right.
Yeah.
When was the last time we studied it? And now 50% of high schools even cover civics classes,
Right?
which is what Sandra Day O'Connor is trying
she's on
to advocate for.
She has an awesome website. If you want to play some fun political simulations, learn all about civics, go to icivics.org. It's Sandra Day O'Connor's website for teaching civics to middle school and high school students, and it's really fun.
I wonder how we got away from that.
Right? I mean, just priorities shift, and people, I guess, just think it's common knowledge.
And the sad part of it is, though, even if we did have that in school, I mean, some people like me who haven't been in school for 40 years, you kind of forget.
That's why I guess you should go to, is it iCivics, the letter I?
Yeah, icivics.org.
So that's why we can go to there and refresh, because it's been a long time since we were in high school.
It has. And I do have a little pocket constitution that I got from
we have
long-
some right
long
here.
ago.
I have
one right here.
So
the
actually,
focus
it's more than a pocket
you've got,
constitution. It's
mine's
actually
hardbound.
a
Mine's
hardbound,
pocket.
Yeah.
the Constitution of the U.S. of America. And I refer to it every once in a while.
So our talk
So-
will be focused on Article 3, the courts.
I'll show it to the people in the video.
And you can show them the pocket one you're going to
Right.
get. Yeah. So yours is Article 3, the courts you're going to focus on.
I always, we've been going through all the articles this week. I'm like, don't forget the legislative branch. I study Congress. It's my research interest. I'm like, Congress is number 1, guys. Don't get it confused with the presidency. That's 2.
Yes.
Right,
yes,
right.
Yes. Very much so.
Very interesting.
All right. So again, that's coming up. Everybody's invited.
Open to the public. Get there early if you want a Constitution.
So Wednesday, what time?
6 o'clock, CSI Fine Arts 119.
And Thursday, 7 o'clock?
In the same venue, for the films.
Well, it
All
sounds
right.
great, Perry.
It does. Thank you very much.
Thank
Telling
you.
us about this. Perry Gardner with CSI talking about Constitution and Citizenship Day coming up. And coming up next, we have Randy Staples with the Idaho Political Update. 7360300 is the number to call. We have Randy Staples with the Idaho Political Update coming up shortly. But first, I just wanted to tell you about the Infrared Baron from Far More of Idaho, where they fly over your fields. They take infrared pictures, so you can get an idea of what your water is doing, if it's really penetrating in places that it should, or if you need to make changes or adjustments or upgrades or maintenance to your irrigation system. This will tell you. And it's not all that costly. As a matter of fact, it doesn't cost, it pays, because if it shows you got a serious problem that you didn't realize you had, and then you make these changes, your yield is going to increase and more than offset the cost of having this infrared baron. So give them a call. We talked to Spencer last week here on the show, and was
Spencer Black and Weston Hughes.
Weston is his name.
Weston.
And they can answer any questions you might have, 324-3341, or also at farmoreofidaho.com. Right now, we have Randy Staples with the Idaho Political Update. Good morning, Randy.
Good morning, Randy.
Good morning.
Hey, nice to have you back.
Yeah, that was fascinating. By the way, the effects that high technology is having out on the farm, out in rural areas.
Oh, I'll tell you what. I farmed back I farmed as a kid, of course, and then farmed back in the 80s, and I think if I were to go back to it, I wouldn't even recognize it.
Very different. Of course, we just have wrapped up the Snake River Basin adjudication, where they're using satellite technology and all sorts of other pretty high tech kinds of things. And then obviously, from what you were just saying, a lot of farmers are using a lot of these kinds of tools as well to improve their yields and so on.
I know, it's amazing. I mean, technology certainly hasn't left agriculture behind. If anything, it's kind of in the forefront.
And Randy, they can also detect pot in their fields.
Yeah.
Apparently it glows. That's what we've heard.
Anyway, we digress.
We digress.
You did point out in your update this plagiarism incident with Shelley Ibarra just continues to haunt her. Do you think she's reached the fatal point yet?
It's very close, I think. It's I don't think she has many more political lives left. It could be that something else happens, most anything, and it could be that this is finally the thing that did her in. It's just a little bit hard to be sure that that's the case, but it could be. I think that there was a good deal of concern leading up to this, and who knows how many people may have been kind of turned off by what they saw here, but certainly she doesn't have the room for error, the margin for error that candidates might typically be given. She's in a difficult spot now, I think.
Well, I think it's interesting because we had Steve Millington on the show last week, and kind of just justifying it, like, well, it's one paragraph, well, it was this, well, it was that, and I think, would they be so forgiving if it was the Democratic candidate? Plagiarism's plagiarism, and I think at some point, if it's your website and you're involved in your campaign, wouldn't you read your own website?
Well, ask the Republicans in Montana, where initially the excuse was for the Democratic, actually the Democratic senator, and also then the candidate for the office. There, the plagiarism had to do with a few paragraphs in a grad school paper from decades ago. Literally decades ago. It was not even something remotely new or that had anything to do with the office.
Right.
But the Republicans seized on that, and with enough effect, and with enough, and it took enough hold with a lot of people that eventually he withdrew from the ticket. He dropped his campaign. So it was in Montana, it was taken that seriously.
Right.
I don't think anybody will argue that Shelley Ibarra is the kind of the buck stops here type situation in this, but is it maybe possible that the web designers either didn't do their job properly, or they thought, hey, maybe they were pushed over to the other candidate and they thought, hey, let's just do this. And that possibility does exist.
What I can most easily imagine happening in truth is that somebody was asked, it was either volunteered to or was hired to set up a website for Ibarra, and they did something that a lot of people do. They started with some of the coding and the technical framework from another website, and they picked up material from Jana Jones' website, and starting with that wasn't necessarily the problem. The problem was that they changed hardly any of it beyond that. Very often that kind of thing is done, and by the time the website goes public, it looks altogether different, and it is drastically changed, and it isn't much at all like its original model.
Yeah.
It probably didn't start out with any idea that it would look or seem anywhere near the same, but somebody basically dropped the ball. And if that's the case, if you have something that's kind of sloppily done in that way, that kind of reflects back on the candidate too. If that's what happens in the campaign, then what happens, when they reach the office?
Well, far be it in Idaho, I guess, to have this stop there. But now the Idaho Republicans are accusing the Idaho Democratic Party of paying for Beloukov's campaign team, and Beloukov is reimbursing the party, yet his campaign isn't showing it as a loan. Now, Republicans are saying it's a violation of the campaign financing laws, and the Democrats say that attorneys and accountants have okayed this, procedure is fine, it's within the law. So what about this? So now it looks like the tables are kind of turned, and the Democrats kind of have a little a check on their page.
Yeah, I'm not sure how the law will reflect on that. I would expect that within a week or two we will hear something from the Secretary of State's office, from Ben Yasursa and his election people, and I think that will probably be whatever comes out of there. Probably will be taken as pretty definitive. They've been a down the middle kind of viewer of these things for some time. I wonder whether the Republicans might have already checked it with their office to see whether in fact there's a legal issue there. I'm not sure whether it colors within the lines or not offhand, just because I can't recall having seen this kind of an approach before. Generally, you have staff that works for the state party, and you have staff that works on campaigns, but they are two separate things. Sometimes you might have someone that might volunteer over, or even somebody that has some of their hours with the state and some of their hours with the campaign. But this is very different, and I'm not sure whether it's how problematic it is or whether it's legal or not. I'll be interested to see some of the independent legal analysis this week.
How do they normally?
And I presume that we will start to see some of it this week.
So, Randy, does a candidate does their campaign usually pay for their staff just directly?
Yeah, they usually pay directly. That's part of what the campaign budget is supposed to do. If a campaign budget has $500,000 or $1 million or whatever it is, then that's part of where they pay for their people, is directly out of that. Now, a campaign can contribute to the state party, can send money to the state party, and up to a point, the state party can contribute money to a campaign. There's some allowance for some of that, but the amounts that are allowed generally aren't all that large. They wouldn't be large enough to account for paying the full-time salary of a number of people.
How much is a candidate allowed to give their own campaign? Is there any limit, or they can invest as much as they want?
There's not much limit on that. They can he can give his own campaign pretty much whatever he chooses to do, and that may be I'm not sure how that feeds into this in that sense, or why they would necessarily have gone this kind of route.
Yeah, that's my question.
It seems odd
What
because
would
I
be the
know
advantage?
he has a lot of money.
Yeah, well, he has a lot of money, and
Yes.
he can, and there's always been the question, really, from the beginning, how much will he choose to put into the campaign?
Yeah.
Of course, Butch Otter has a good deal of money too, and the same question could be asked. The main reason it doesn't get asked quite so much is because Republican candidates for governor in Idaho have an easier time of raising money anyway.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of A.J. Belukoff, he says Idaho's economic picture isn't quite as good as Governor Otter would like to have us believe, yet in the overall scheme, Idaho actually has done pretty well, better than a lot of other states in the post-recession recovery. So, but now Belukoff has some valid points, and statistics don't lie in this case, but could some of the issues that we're still facing be a result of the national recession, or can these issues be directed straight at Otter? Because Belukoff is saying that because of Otter, we have the second lowest income of citizens in the country, and we're dead last in schools and such. In other words, I guess we got some bad and we got some good. So naturally, Governor Otter is going to point out the good parts.
That is exactly true. There are a number of things really that kind of need to get separated out. One is, to what extent has Idaho recovered during the period since the big recession hit? And Idaho has recovered fairly well among the states as far as that goes. There's also the question, though, of what is Idaho's standing, and how does Idaho compare with other states at this point? And that's not quite so good, and it wasn't all that great at the start of the recession.
Right.
How much of all this do you throw on Otter? Well, I think that more of it tends to get thrown on governors and presidents generally than really is deserved, because there's only so much that a governor or a president, for that matter, or a mayor, for that matter, can do in terms of turning the economy around in their given area. They can do certain things. They can help. They can discourage to some extent, but there's a limit to what they can really do. And if an economy is basically in trouble, or if an economy is basically going to boom, the governor or the president probably had only but so much to do with that.
But then you think, okay, well, then why reelect him? I mean, you have to say something as governor. This happened under. I can tell you, if the numbers were really great, he'd be like, I have everything to do with this.
Oh,
so you have to run on something.
But the economy is not the only thing that's going on. Of course, there's also the question of to what extent are children being educated in the right way? To what extent are tax monies being spent properly?
Right.
Are we being protected in terms of what our environment is like? What is our health condition? Are we taking sure that serious health problems are dealt with? There are all kinds of things that are out there, some of which have economic effects, and some of which have effects on us in all sorts of other ways as well.
And I think maybe the Medicaid.
There are lots of things to consider.
The Medicaid, or lack thereof, of the expansion, I think, is a big issue for him.
And it very logically ought to be a very big issue. I'm not sure that it's gotten really the widespread campaign discussion that it probably is merited, but it ought to be a very big issue.
Right.
Real quick, in your experience from past elections, does this seem to be a little more heated than Idaho has had in a while?
I think there are a few more offices that are a little bit more heated, or seem to be a little bit more up for grabs than in most recent past elections. And there we're talking about, of course, the last 20 years or so. Before that, 30 years ago, this would not have been considered unusual at all. It might even been considered a little bit on the light side 30 or 40 years ago. But within the last 20 years, I'd say a little bit more than most.
All right. Well, Randy, we're out of time. We appreciate it. We'll see you next Monday.
Thank you.
Talk to you then.
All right.
Okay,
Thank you. Randy
bye.
Staples from Reidenbaugh Press at reidenbaugh.com. You can check out his update there, subscribe to it, and hear him here weekly on Top Story on News Radio 1310 KLIX. State Treasurer candidate Deb Silver is our guest first part of this next hour right here on Top Story. And welcome back to Top Story. 7360300 is always the number to call. Welcome back, Jill.
Thanks, Cal. Same to you.
It's warming up. It's 57 right now.
Oh, wow.
So
looking forward to it.
I don't know what it's supposed to get today.
I don't know.
Maybe in the 70s. Maybe the low to the mid-70s. That would be perfect,
I don't know.
It's just that time of year. We have with us this morning the candidate for State Treasurer, Deb Silver. Good morning, Deb.
Good morning, Deb.
Good morning.
So the first question to ask you, you're running against Ron Crane. How's the campaign going?
Well, I am busy. I am very busy, but I feel like it's going extremely well. I'm very happy about where we are right now.
And I think it's interesting because you actually decided to become a candidate the last day of the filing date. You might want to share with our listeners, why did you decide to do this?
Well, I had been reading the story about this $20 million stock loss that was allocated improperly. And once I started reading about it, I was kind of concerned. I read the audit report, and that made me even more concerned. And so I was following it to see who was going to run. And actually, the Republicans didn't run anyone. And we got to the end, and I thought, well, I'm just not going to let this go. I am very qualified for this job. I am a CPA. This is what I do. This is really what the job is. The treasurer's one of the few elected jobs that is strictly a job. It's safekeeping the money. The treasurer's position is like the bank for the state. So the treasurer keeps track of where all the money is. The controller keeps track of the financial statements, of the budget to financial. That's what the controller does. They write the checks. But the treasurer's actually in charge of the safeguarding of the money, to reconciling balances every day, keeping track of all that. That's what the treasurer does. And that's a good fit for someone like me.
So the thing that kind of raised your concern was hearing these stories about what the current state treasurer was doing with there's the gas card situation, there's the limos, there's the investments and such. So that's kind of what you've been aiming at.
Absolutely. Yes.
Now he has come out and said, I've made $1 billion for the state of Idaho. Do you want to explain what that means? Because some people say, wow, that's pretty good.
Well, part of it is he's been there 16 years. The amount of money he's talking about is less than 3% on the $3 billion over 16 years. And it also does not take into account the fact that we've also borrowed in order to be able to keep doing this investing. So we've got something called tax anticipation notes, and that's where the limousine story actually came in. They take a trip to New York every year, and he's driving around in limos with only one or two people in it many times, or maybe four, but half of them are actually spouses or friends that they brought along. And he didn't keep track of the personal versus business use. But the reason they were on that trip was to sign the papers for the tax anticipation notes. So in order to look at that number, we should subtract the amount of interest expense that we've incurred as a state. And we also have investment managers that are in the state, that are in the treasurer's office, that help with the investing. They advise on the actual investing. So as an accountant, I will tell you, you want to subtract all these things that come up to whatever our investment income is. And he's not actually talking about total investment income. He's just talking about interest income.
So it's almost like he has the gross number, but doesn't have the net number.
Exactly.
So it's
doesn't
a little
have the
deceiving.
costs.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
so let me just ask you this before we leave that subject. Do you think you would be able to increase that 3%?
Well, a lot of what happens with that is it depends on the market. Interest rates are low right now. So that tells us you don't have that much control over what the rates are. Back in the 80s, the rates are going to be much higher because interest income was much higher. Mm-hmm. So now is an entirely different place. And I'm going to go back and say that really the job of the treasurer is to keep track of our money and keep it safe. That's the number one thing that the treasurer does. Account for it, make sure you know where it is, make sure you know, again, that you're taking care of it. Treasury, it's in the Treasury.
Right.
So the investment income that we have is secondary to that job. It's just that there's so much, because it's essentially what we're talking about is the checking account balance. It's not like Percy, where it's long-term investment. It's not like the endowment funds, which are long-term investments. This is like the checking account for the state. And so the income from that is kind of secondary to what the job is, but it is part of the job. And during the 80s, it was interest income was quite high. The interest rates were quite high, but it's not like the treasurer really has that much of an impact on what interest rates are, right?
Right. So the auditors came out, I think it was in February of this year, wanting to look at every transaction back to 2008, or they had some changes for the position, and Mr. Crane hasn't addressed it. He referred to it as being politically motivated. You read the auditor's report. Do you think it was politically motivated?
Well, these are the legislative services auditors. They are hired by the legislature. And I don't think I have to remind this audience that the legislature is unbelievable, well, believably, I guess, Republican.
Right.
And in fact, Mr. Crane's son is in leadership. So, no, I do not think this is politically motivated at all, because, in fact, I think it's amazing that the auditors came out with this stuff and they put it all out there. They've laid everything out. If you read the report, they tell you what their evidence was. They tell you the conversations they've had. They lay it out there. They know who their bosses are. They knew this was going to be an issue, but they did it anyway. And I have to congratulate them for putting it out there for the taxpayers.
And there was, go ahead, Gil.
Well, I was just going to say, now you were in the office last week and asking for some information on the part that Mr. Crane has not shown the auditors yet.
Yes.
Is that how was that? Is that like a public request or something?
It's a public records request. The auditors said in the report, they said, we see what happened in 2008 and 2009, which was an allocation of investment losses, and you have two accounts, and he put them all into the idle pool, all the losses into the idle pool, instead of doing it proportional to the size of the pools themselves. So now I'm getting kind of wonky. This is accounting wise, but all of the losses went into the fund that actually is where our education budget comes from and so forth. So they saw the transactions for 2008, 2009, but they asked for all of those that have to do with this agreement forward, 2010, 11, 12. And he did not respond. In fact, he didn't respond to the auditors at all. He just said, I don't agree, which I've got to tell you, of course you don't agree with an auditor's report. They wouldn't have written you up if you agreed with them, if you were doing the way they wanted you to. But this is legislative services. They asked for this additional information, and it was just ignored. So I went into the office on Thursday, and I asked for the underlying documents. And I asked for copies of journal entries. And if I get that, I can come up with this, I would think. And I can also, I believe the work papers of the audit are also public information. And so I can go back and look at that and see what they had and then make a schedule myself.
It was reported that he transferred it so that Idaho's credit rating wouldn't be lowered, that there was a reason that he manipulated it so we wouldn't look, that our credit rating wouldn't be reduced.
Well, the credit rating they're talking about is with the local government investment pool. So the two pools of money that we're dealing with, one is the idle fund, that's the checking account balance, but the local government investment pool is the counties, highway taxing districts, things like that, school districts that have some extra money. that maybe they're waiting. They don't have to make a payment on a bond quite yet. And they have 30 days that they can do a notice and get the money back. If the rating fell and they had been notified the rating was going to fall, all the treasurers could have pulled all their money out of that agreement. Okay, so they could have and that would have been bad news, right? But the rating, all it really did was notify the local government investment pool investors, the counties, that it wasn't quite as safe as they thought it was. Then they could pull all their money out of it. Then there's some question, if enough money went out at that, and you were in some long-term things in the securities lending pool, it would be possible that even more of the losses, because we're still holding some of those investments, and it could have caused other problems. Let's just put it this way. I'm not quite sure how that's going to play out. That's something we can look at.
Let me ask you this before we run out of time. If you were elected, how would you have handled this differently?
Okay, this is something I've learned in my long life. When you have a mistake or something's out there, you stand up and you take care of it. If this had been allocated, this loss had been allocated properly, and you just stand up and say, this is what happened. There was a $20 million loss. You get 43% and you get 57. Did I get the numbers right?
Yes, you did.
Yeah. And you just do it and you just take the consequences. That's what you do. And that if that had been done, it wouldn't have played out the way it is right now.
Okay.
So, Deb, do you think, as far as people deciding to vote for you, why do you think they should vote for you?
Well, I have been a certified public accountant for 30 years, and I am still a certified public accountant. So me, signing a petition on the 15th of March didn't change anything. I'm too old to be a career politician. I'm 58 years old, so maybe a term or two to get this straightened out, because there are problems. There are accounting problems. This is about taxpayers. This isn't about being a Democrat or Republican. This is about doing a job. You're not on the land board. It's just about doing an accounting job, and I'm very capable of doing that.
Deb Silver, candidate for state treasurer. Thank you very much, Deb.
Thanks,
Good
Deb.
to talk
Best
to you
of luck.
again. And we'll be right back with more right here on Top Story on News Radio 1310 KLIX. So a kid goes to North Korea, tears up his visa. They sentence him to 6 years hard labor, and now he wants the U.S. to pull him out. What do you think? We'll talk about that next. 7360300 is the number to call here this morning on Top Story. Welcome back. Friday's $100 instant winning name is Don Henry.
Don Henry, congratulations.
And your $100 word of the day for today is pop.
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 Pop or pop?
P-O-P.
Oh, pop. Okay.
You can go to our website at newsradio1310.com, click on word of the day, type in pop, and then listen tomorrow. And if you hear your name tomorrow and you played the word of the day today, you win $100.
My question is it Dawn or Dawn? Well, how do you spell Dawn?
D-O-N.
Okay, because it could be a woman. D-A-W-N.
That's right.
Dawn.
Well, and in this day and age,
who knows?
I know.
Names are so odd today. When I do book signings, I don't care what name it is. I will double check because people spell.
Oh, you have to.
Like Lynn, anything is spelled so weird today.
Yeah, and they're by gender. I mean, look at Glenn Close.
Yeah.
The actress Glenn Close.
I know.
And who's the other
but
one?
But it's two N's. I don't know. But it's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
Anyway, so, all right, Don Henry.
Well, we have this issue. And actually, earlier in the show, we were talking about ISIS. And if you thought that anybody caught fighting for ISIS should be stripped of their citizenship immediately, or if they should go through due process. This is kind of another one that kind of was on those same shirt tails. From CNN, for months, he was held captive by the North Korean regime, not even sure what he would be charged with. Then in one fell swoop, American citizen Matthew Todd Miller was convicted of committing acts hostile to North Korea, which that could be anything, and sentenced to 6 years of hard labor. While Miller's fate is now clear, the circumstances surrounding his alleged crime remain somewhat murky. According to the state-run Korean Central News Agency, which, can you believe it or not, the 24-year-old arrived in North Korea as a tourist on April 10th and proceeded to rip up his tourist visa and shouted his desire to seek asylum and said he came to the DPRK after choosing it as a shelter.
There's so many things in this story that you
know.
go there for tourism. I'm sorry. Like, can you even eat the times you're there? I don't know. I mean, there's so many places to tour. Why would you go to North Korea?
Right. Well, I agree. And the charges for which he and the other detained U.S. citizens were arrested and imprisoned for, according to the U.S. State Department, would not give rise to arrest or imprisonment in the United States or many other countries around the world. So I guess by that statement, that's from Darby Holliday with the U.S. State Department. I guess by that statement they're kind of saying, okay, so even if he did do that, why are you hanging on to them? So it kind of indicates to me that maybe the kid did do that.
Well, and you have to wonder, how come they aren't saying what it is? No one is saying what it is.
It's North Korea.
No, I mean, well, we have our spokesman. Someone could say what he did to be, sentenced to, 6 years in hard labor. But to me,
you would think if somebody's coming over there wanting asylum that they would hold that up as a flag, saying, "See here's an American citizen who's coming to North Korea and they want to stay here. They like it here.
How
they think it's great.
They like us, Mikey. They like us." But I mean, if someone came here to the U.S., they rip up their visa, they say they want asylum. I assume you would think they would want to be a citizen. So this guy now that he's sentenced to 6 years hard labor is now saying, "What, Kelly? Let's wait for it.
Come and get me. Help!
Help!
Okay,
help!
That's my question.
Please help me."
Yeah. So you got this kid, and he is a kid. I don't know what
he's 24.
Yeah, 24 years old. Yeah, that's a kid. Anything under 60 years old to me is a kid, okay? So anyway, you've got 24-year-old Matthew Todd Miller, goes to North Korea as a tourist.
On vacation.
And he rips up his visa and shouts, "I want asylum." And then when he gets in trouble and North Korea, for some reason, says, "Okay, buddy, you're going to 6 years hard labor." Now he's yelling and screaming to the United States, "Oh, please help, come and get me. I'm a United States citizen. I have my rights." Mm-hmm. I kind of have a problem with that.
I know. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Should the U.S. swoop in and save him? Although apparently we have been saying, okay, release him and Kenneth Bye. Maybe they think we can get a twofer. But, it's very perplexing.
If they
on
are
many
putting
levels.
up, and another thing, if they are putting this kind of, if the U.S. State Department is putting up this kind of a fight for this kid, mm-hmm. What about our U.S. Marine who's been held in Mexico for how many months now? And it doesn't seem like we've lifted a finger to do anything for him. But yet this kid who goes over and tears up his visa and wants to live in North Korea, we're apparently going to fight for his release. I don't get that. I don't get it.
I'm thinking,
and how dare he ask for help?
I don't know. What do you think? I mean,
7360300.
Once you do that and you ask for asylum, don't you pretty much say you don't want to be a U.S. citizen anymore?
I think he's pretty much saying so, yeah.
So what do you guys think? Should the U.S. try to get him back? Should he? He really didn't mean what he did.
Yeah, he's just a kid. He's only 24 years old. We'll be right back. 7360300 is the number to call here this morning on Top Story. Dave Hansen and the crew at Canyon Pond wants you to stop in. I need to do that again. I drive by a couple of times a day, and I think, I need to stop in and just see how things are going with Dave Hansen there at Canyon Pond. It's the area's newest pawn shop, and he's got all sorts of stuff. You've heard us talking about it before, camping supplies and woodworking supplies and fishing poles and tools and stuff that you would...
Bicycles. I just drove by his little moped out there and some bicycles
little
the other day.
four-wheeler setting out there, too. So... your typical stuff that a pawn shop has and more, because a lot of this stuff is still new in boxes on the shelves there. So, and he's got guns. Boy, does he have guns. Lots and lots of guns. And a chance to win a Savage 17 HMR with AccuTrigger. Stop in and see what that will take, all right? And tell them that we sent you. They're on Shoshone Street, right across from Will's Toyota. And the number is 933-2600. He's on Facebook at Canyon Pond. He's on the web at canyonpond.com. So pretty hard to miss. Canyon Pond, Dave Hansen and his crew.
That's right.
All right, so we got a couple of callers right now wanting to weigh in on this situation where you got this 24-year-old American citizen, Matthew Todd Miller, goes to North Korea, and apparently he ripped up his visa, said he wanted asylum there, so North Korea, in true North Korean fashion, convict him 6 years hard labor for acts hostile to North Korea. Now he wants the United States to get him out of there.
Like, what could he have done?
Yeah.
Freedom of speech or something? Wow, this I can't eat anywhere? Like, what do you say? I don't know.
7360300 is the number to call. What do you think? Should we do something or not? Top story, you're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning.
I was thinking we would probably trade Obama for him.
Whoa. We're not hearing you very well.
We can't hear you for some reason.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hello?
Can you hear me now?
Not very
really.
good, but give it a try.
Okay, let me try one more time.
Get that echo effect with, sounds like you're on speakerphone.
Sounds like you're somewhere deep, like in a tunnel.
Just a second.
No,
that's
that's much better,
okay.
yes.
How about now?
Okay, I think we can make that.
All right.
Okay, I was saying maybe we could trade Obama for him, or maybe even trade Obama for a pack of gum as long as it's for keeps.
I don't know.
What?
I don't know if they'd go for that. I really don't. Do you think they want Obama?
I would doubt it.
What do you think, though? Should the United States go rushing to his rescue?
No.
He's still a U.S. citizen, you know.
That's correct, but he made some choices.
Yeah.
I think
that's
so.
kind of the way I see it. I have a problem with him doing what he did. If the reports we're getting are the way they happened, then it's like... I would much rather... Can
you back out as an asylum because now that you're convicted? I mean, is that his way to back out?
Or things didn't work out like he thought they might. You know, he probably thought they would welcome him with open arms, and they didn't. And so now he's kind of between a rock and a hard place. So
Literally.
Can he go back over that bridge that he just burned with the United States?
Well, apparently, because it sounds like one of our representatives is talking to him. But maybe they think they'll get a twofer with Kenneth Bai, too.
And again, that might be true, too. Kenneth Bai, he might have a more valid reason for the United States. I don't think he gave up his U.S. citizenship or asked for asylum or anything like that. 7360300, top story, you're on the air. What do you think?
Hey, it's Carl. What's going on over there?
Hey, Carl. We've just been sitting here waiting for you to call.
Where have you been?
Well, here it is. That guy's got to be an idiot. That's all I got to say. Why the heck would you even want to go to North Korea in the first place? But then all of a sudden you found out 6 years of hard labor. He goes, oh, my God, Mom, come and get me.
I know. Yeah, and, know, it's hard to believe you could get a tourist visa for North Korea. Where do you get that?
Oh, there's that outfit that they talked about in this story here where they there's an outfit that does give has tourist packages to North Korea. The U.S. State Department has advised against it, but they're still doing it.
Why would you want to? And what's your tour?
Want to.
These are the citizens that were starving. These are the ones who were picking rocks. What could the tour be?
Oh, they
what
don't show them those.
Tour
no, they show them, actually, I think North Korea is fairly pretty. They probably show them the nice, all the nice people who are following in lockstep with their leader.
That are starving to death.
7360300, top story, you're on the air. What do you think?
This morning on your Fox newscast, they were saying that, and I read this online, that there was possibility he was doing this too, because I read the two different things. One, that he tore up his visa and asked for asylum, and the other one was that he was attempting to get arrested to report on conditions in North Korean prisons, and that's what was being reported on Fox News this morning on your own station.
So that would be the acts hostile to North Korea.
Yeah, the deal is they let each of there's 3 Americans over there now, and they let each of them speak for 15 minutes to a reporter, and I watched each of the YouTube videos, and this kid is just crazy. He's like
he saying?
But you have to
certifiable.
Although you have to, I think, realize that if they're sitting there, they're okaying everything that you say. So I'm sure that what he said was very well controlled. But I agree with you. Yeah, he's got to be crazy if he thought he could get away with that.
Well, there was a guy over there passing out Bibles, and he was just very dignified in his interview, and he was just very polite and everything. And this kid was just whining about how the government hasn't done anything to help him.
Yeah. After he says, I don't want to have anything else to do with the U.S. Maybe he didn't think.
Why
this
would
thing
you want
through.
to try to get arrested in North Korea? Are you kidding me?
We'll be right back. 736-0300, the number to call here this morning on Top Story. All right, so you got this 24-year-old American from Bakersfield, California, goes to North Korea on a tour and asks for asylum, rips up his visa, gets arrested for acts hostile to North Korea. Then he wants us to come and get him now.
I've changed my mind.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I love America.
Yeah. 736-0300 is the number to call. Top Story, what do you think?
Well, you guys, my first inclination is let him rot.
Mm.
You know, he gets what he deserves.
Yeah, but I hear a butt coming here.
Yes. I get to thinking that's not the way we should think, right? But let's turn it into a positive and say, okay, you want to come back here? You have to earn your citizen just like any other immigrant. And as a community service, in order to pay back all the expenses and everything of getting your goofy butt back here, you're now going to start speaking to schools and kids and things like that about what a great country this really is and learn to appreciate it.
You know, actually, now that you bring that up, and just today, Attorney General Eric Holder announced to the nation of this new program that we're starting to try to figure out how to keep people from joining ISIS. Maybe this kid could be the key.
Although he sounds like a flake. They said his interview he was crazy, you know.
Thanks for the call. Appreciate
yeah,
that.
thank you. But then do you put him in the back of the line now that he's no longer? Is he still a citizen? Is he not?
Well,
are they,
okay,
legally,
legally,
yeah, is North Korea saying, oh no, he wants asylum here? Is he now a North Korean citizen?
I don't know what it takes to renounce your citizenship of this country. I don't know if you have to sign papers.
Well,
if
you come to the U.S. to commit asylum or to want asylum, yeah, you have to sign a form. I have no idea what the procedure is in North Korea.
Well, and
do you think they have a form to fill out?
I don't know.
And does he have to write it in Korean?
And again, I don't know what the procedure is for renouncing your U.S. citizenship. If they're again.
Well, you're supposed to go to an embassy or whatever, but I don't even know if we have an embassy.
No, I don't think we have one in North Korea.
Where do you go? I don't know where
you
you go. Do you just make a scene and they go, okay, we have a new citizen?
Yeah, 736
I don't know.
0300. Top Story. You're on the air.
Good morning.
Good morning. I think that he had a plan to gain fame and
notoriety.
Notoriety. Thank
notoriety,
you.
Yeah.
Yes, tongue twister. And to further his journalism career, but it didn't work out very well.
He didn't think it through too well, did he?
Well, he thought it would probably be great. You know, he goes into prison, does all these articles, and he has places to sell them, maybe Rolling Stone or who knows?
Yeah.
And he's sort of, in the loop of the journalistic world, and he has a career.
But how do you get out of the prison? I mean, how are you going to get out of North Korea?
How are you going to get your articles out? I don't
think
they're going to let him Skype.
Probably didn't think it out.
Yeah,
you think?
Right.
You think?
I think you're right.
Does he not have parents that say, Todd, you're out of your mind?
He's 24 years old. He might not have talked this over with his parents.
Well, maybe when he gets out of the 6 years of hard labor, he can write a book. I spent 6 years in hard labor in North Korea prison.
And live to tell about it.
Maybe.
736-0300. Top Story. You're on the air.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My feelings aren't very kindly towards people that leave our nation and join these terrorist groups or like this gentleman supposedly wanting to report on it. I think they're traitors. And what do we do with traitors? We put them to death.
Yeah. Well, we're supposed to. I don't think we've done that for a while.
No, but I think they give up all their rights to our citizenship, to their citizenship, when they become traitors like that.
Yeah, I mean, to do it for journalism, to do it for anything, it seems silly. You could tour there, I guess, get arrested, but you could still remain a U.S. citizen. I don't know if that's his plan. I don't know. I didn't hear an interview. I don't think you did either. But
no, they did. Yeah, I think they were 5-minute interviews actually, because I was hearing.
No, but I didn't see it, so I don't know if that's what. Did he say that was his plan to write about a hard labor camp?
I don't know any of the details.
But the U.S. is trying to get him back. They're trying to say, okay, fine, we'll exchange him, give us Kenneth Bay and him, and
well, and based on that right there, if they're working with North Korea to try to get them back, they should at least make an effort to go to Mexico and get our Marine back, Mr. Tamaresi, I believe is his name. I mean, let's be fair here.
Well, we
Why?
don't know what's happening behind the scenes on that one, but maybe we should pull Dennis Rodman out, as our North Korean ambassador.
We need to get him out of retirement, send him to North Korea, and have him talk to his good friend
his
Kim
Jong-il,
or whatever his name is.
Il
or Un, I can't keep him straight. Maybe he can arrange to have them all.
He's a great guy.
Yeah, maybe
Dennis said.
Great
guy.
It looks like it. 736-0300 is the number to call. Got time for maybe one more call here. Top story. You're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning. I was just thinking, Bo Bergdahl did almost the same thing, not quite as open as what this guy was, but what have we done with him? And I just think that they're a bunch of traitors to America.
Well, with Bo Bergdahl, he was one of our military. You don't leave your military, but this guy who actually is leaving his citizenship, his country. Do you really, if you're tearing up your papers and say you want asylum, that's not like a joke. It's a big deal.
Yeah, it is.
People come here and do that.
About Bergdahl, I know a lot of people have made up their mind about him, and you know what? I'm waiting for the investigation on this. I don't know what his state of mind was or anything like that. I think it's kind of apples and oranges. But at any rate, we are out of time. Thanks for your calls. It's time now for the Huckabee Report, brought to you this morning by Waddell and Reed. You can hear the Huckabee Report each weekday at this time, brought to you exclusively by Waddell & Reed. Laura Nelson, Josh Funk, and Steve Stanger, financial advisors, and the number is 736-6563. Well, the folks of Stanley & Company want you to know if you need a low-end honey loader, Pat Hartzell is the guy to talk to, okay? That's one of these big honey loaders that load any type of manure from liquid to frozen and dry, and as well as anybody, that in Idaho, in this part of the state, we have all three types. Liquid, frozen, and dry.
We do.
So if you're looking at one of these as maybe the savior of your operation, get a hold of Pat Hartzell. He can fix it up so you can see one in operation before you plunk down your hard-earned money. And his personal cell phone number is 280-1167. Give him a call and say, hey, I need to see one of these low-end honey loaders in operation before I make a decision. And he'll help you out. And then if you decide you want to buy, you can talk to him also. He's the guy. He's pretty much the go-to guy at Stanley & Company. Pat Hartzell, 280-1167.
That's how easy that is.
That's right. This is going to be a busy week.
We got a lot coming on this week. We've got a few things. We got Grant Lobes tomorrow. Tripp Craig is filling in for Steve Millington. We have Carl Kleinkopf, who's running for CSI, I guess his re-election of CSI board. We have Richard Stallings on Thursday, who's running against Mike Simpson. We've got all sorts of stuff.
You can tell that campaign season is underway.
It is here. They are all requesting to come on. So anyway, it should be interesting.
It's going to be a fun week. Also, the next week, we have a lunch scheduled with our winner, Frank Pepper. That's right. Now, if you want to sign up for a chance to win a free lunch with Kelly and Jill at the Canyon Crest Dining and Event Center and a ride in the limo to and from the station here, then you go to our website, newsradio1310.com, click on Win Lunch with Kelly and Jill, fill in your information, and sit back and wait for hopefully your name to be called.
I know it. Come on, people.
That's
it's a lot
Frank
of fun.
Have a good time.
And Kyle, he won, and he went back for the comedy night.
Yeah.
And, said he had a good ribeye.
I can't say enough about the view from there. Looking down into the Snake River Canyon.
Amazing.
It is a world-class view. I haven't seen too many world-class views. I've never been to Switzerland, to sit out on the balcony there and look at the Alps or anything like that.
People have different world-class views. You got the ocean, you got the whatever. We got the canyon.
I think the view off of my deck to the north at the house is a world-class view.
Should we start having lunch at your house,
Hey,
Kelly?
maybe we should do that. Maybe my wife would cater it.
Oh, I'm sure Connie wouldn't mind. Connie, just wrestle us up some food for our listeners and me. And Jill.
I think we'll probably keep it at the Canyon Crest.
You think?
Yeah, I think so. Hey, thanks for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow right here. Same time, same station on Top Story. Goodbye, Jill.
Bye, Cal.